Welcome to this week's episode of Closers. I am the former closer, David Ardsman, the DA. I've got my partner, my co-host, James Koulidianos, sitting there. James, you're looking all pretty with that perfect haircut. I am jealous as always.
Yeah, but you have the pretty hair. But I will say this. I'm a little off-putted by what you just said. You know, you said partner, co-host, not hetero life mate, not
Are we there yet?
BFF for life.
Are we there yet? We haven't had that talk. I know you might feel it, but James, I'm not ready yet.
Okay,
it's time to change it, man. We got to have this conversation first. Don't just assume, don't just accept that I'm your life mate just because we're partners. Okay, just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, just keep in mind though, I did say hetero life mate, like Jane, Silent Bob.
We're boys right now. That's it. It's like boys Indeed. For life. We need to pump the brakes. I might need some space. Speaking of space, there is a Major League Baseball player that is going to be getting plenty of space away from the field, and that is me, my personal feeling, my player of the generation, a guy that has completely changed Major League Baseball for me. Mike Trout is out again with a torn meniscus again. It hurts. It hurts to see Mike Trout, these injuries, these happen, how great of a ball player he was, but he tore his meniscus again. And James, what is your initial feelings and thoughts hearing Mike Trout getting hurt again?
My initial thought was, okay, it happened again. Why are we shocked by this? He hasn't been healthy in over 5 years. He hasn't played more than 150 games in 5 years. And I know every year we're saying that this is the year that Mike Trout is going to get healthy and he's going to be the Mike Trout of old. I don't think we're ever going to see that again.
I don't feel like it. It hurts. It sucks. Yes, that's the problem though too. It's become so normal now that he's getting hurt so often that it just feels like it's just like every year you're just waiting for something. You're holding your breath. Let's back it up here. 2017, he tore a ligament in his thumb. That was like the first injury. He was sliding into second base, tore the ligament in his thumb. 2021, he had a calf strain, which sounds simple, but man, that'll stop you really quick, especially as a hitter and outfielder and stuff like that. Then he had back inflammation, and I actually thought that was going to be a major problem, like a big problem with the back. Usually hitters, you get that back stuff, and that ends up like just totally stopping you. 23, he has a hamate, breaks his hamate bone. 24, meniscus, and then he tears the meniscus again while he was on a rehab assignment I believe he was in Salt Lake City, the AAA affiliate of the Los Angeles Angels of the Anaheim of California. I don't even know what it is. It's his going out and setting records, MVPs. Like he's got, how many MVPs does he have? Was he have 3, 4? I don't even know. But he's got like 3 or 4 number 2s. He's got like a couple, like he's on number 4s, number 5s. It's absolutely ridiculous when you look at his baseball reference page, like how many of those MVP stuff you look at, and you can see the bold as the MVP, but you got to look at like the number 2, number 3, number 4. How many times he's been like top 5 MVP is, I don't know if I've ever seen a player on that type of list, besides Barry, who obviously has 7.
And let's not forget that he would have won more if it wasn't for Ohtani coming in, because he was number 2 a couple times to Ohtani.
Yes, and I think of Miguel Cabrera. And here's the thing too, is I was taking some time last week when he had gotten hurt, or whenever it was when he got hurt, whatever day it was, and I was looking at Baseball Reference page, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at who he lost to, and there were times when you're like, dude, like, yeah, oh man, like that guy had a great year, but some numbers, Trout's better in some of these categories. Trout's leading the league in a lot of these categories, and Trout's losing 2 guys. I think he lost to Miguel Cabrera, and you look back and you're like, outside of batting average, like Trout had a better season, stuff like that. And so it's really interesting. He could have definitely had some more, and again, because Ohtani comes in and takes the world by storm, he loses out to Ohtani. It became so normal. The Trout season, so good, became so normalized, and now the injury has become so normalized to him. My question to you, though, Is there a way to get him healthier? Is it a DH situation? If he doesn't play outfield again, is there anything Major League Baseball's missing? If he moves to DH and has a second part of his career, do you think that could help him?
I think it is the absolute right move to make him into a DH. If he's not running in the outfield, sliding for balls, diving for balls, trying to climb the wall for balls, he will be much better off. Let him sit there, let him take his hacks, let him hit the ball, and if he has to jog to the bases, that's fine. He doesn't need to slide. I'll be just fine if he gets called out at second because he didn't slide. As long as that guy is in the lineup, he's hitting the ball and hitting the ball hard, that's all that matters. That's the only way we can possibly see Trout be healthy for the rest of his career.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I think DH, first base, whatever that is, find a spot to him where he's not running around like a madman doing his normal stuff. You have to take pressure off, and it's going to suck because there's a new generation of kids watching that will never understand how good he was at everything. Every single thing that he did, he was great at. And so they're going to be missing it. But at the end of the day, the game is better because Mike Trout is on the field and playing. James, is Mike Trout a Hall of Famer?
That is a tough one because he's been in the league and he's definitely been the best player of his generation, talent-wise. But you look at it, he hasn't hit those milestone stats that you would expect the best player of a generation to hit. I don't think he has 400 home runs yet. He doesn't have 3,000 hits. Yes, his average is north of 300.
Right at 299.
I guess the only way you can...
299.
Really?
Yes, but in a generation that 300 isn't, the same as it used to be.
Right. The only way that I say yes, he's a Hall of Famer is because while he was there, he was by far the best player in baseball. He was that MVP multiple times. You can say there was no doubt that he was the best player in baseball. So if I was going to vote, yes, I would put him in. But it's very interesting because he could get into that Don Mattingly territory where he just didn't reach the milestones.
Who has a better WAR, Ken Griffey Jr. or Mike Trout?
I think the answer is Mike Trout.
And it is Mike Trout. It is by 3 games. Well, a little less than 3 games. Better WAR than Nolan Ryan, Rod Carew, Tom Glavine, Jeff Bagwell, Chipper Jones. Better WAR. He is number 51 all time, and he has played in far less games than a lot of those players ahead of him. Like an Al Kaline is not many games WAR above him, and that's a season above him. And Al Kaline has played 9 more seasons than him. Adrian Beltre is in reachable, one good season, reachable distance, and Adrian Beltre has played 8 seasons more than him. That would drop him into the 30s in WAR of all time, in the 30s, and all he has to do is play 1 more season.
But let me ask you this, though. Most players, don't they end up getting negative WAR later in their career as their skills go down?
Some, yes.
Because right now, whenever Mike Trout plays, he's amongst the best in baseball. Even now with all the injuries, he hasn't hit that wall where when he plays, he's hitting 200, striking out a whole bunch. He's still a far superior player to everybody else when he's on the field. My question is later on, as he's getting older, is he going to start getting that negative WAR to drop him down while he's trying to get some of those milestones?
With how little he played this year, he still had a 1 WAR. He still was better than the league, and he played a tiny little bit. Yes, most players do end up with some negative WARs, or at least going down from their average, and that's going to be an interesting one for him to see how that affects him if he moves to a first base or moves to a DH type of situation. But he had a couple, again, when he got hurt, like 2020, he only had 53 games. Again, that was a short season, 1.8 WAR. When he was hurt in 21, he still had a 1.8 WAR, and he only played 36 games, right? 6.2 in 22. But he had years where he had over 10 and a half. And you start looking at his baseball reference page, you start looking at the numbers when he led the league. It's unreal. There's nothing, to me, I've never seen a Hall of Famer be such a Hall of Famer than him, and in such a short period of time. I mean, again, we talked about the MVP. We talked about this, but let's hear the numbers. And his rookie year, he won Rookie of the Year, and with the Silver Slugger, an All-Star, MVP 2. Okay, next year MVP 2. So that's 2 of them. MVP 1, MVP 2, MVP 1, MVP 4, MVP 2, MVP 1, MVP 5, and then an MVP 8. He had 4 number 2s and 3 number 1s. That's Barry Bonds. You know,
Agreed.
That's to me.
Agreed.
He doesn't have any of the numbers. He's short of 400. He's just short of 300 batting average. Doesn't have a crazy number of RBIs. It's just when you look across the league, you just know who's Hall of Fame. And this dude, there's never been somebody that I saw play the game quite like that. Griffey's the only one I've ever seen that be like that. And again, Griffey's career got cut short because of injuries. Welcome, Mike Trout.
Yeah. And in the very beginning of his career, I think the first 7 years of his career, his numbers were so similar to Mickey Mantle. It's crazy.
Absolutely insane. And Mick, same thing, cut short of injuries. I know Mick ended up playing more extended and stuff like that, but he played through a lot of things and was half the player than he was earlier in his career. But speaking of players that have played injured, gone through some major injuries, young, and had to make a switch, Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper was the starting first baseman for the National League this year. His first year as a first baseman, he was a right fielder his whole career, ends up having Tommy John, some injuries, some other little things, switches to first base, and is starting the All-Star game. I know starting is a popularity contest, but it's not really full popularity contest when you're out there just doing it. James, is Bryce Harper the best first baseman in Major League Baseball today?
Right this second, I would take him over anybody. The only guy that would come close as a first baseman to me would be Freddie Freeman. But if I have to take somebody for the next 3 years, a first baseman, I'm taking Harper.
Next 3 years, okay. I'll give you that. Bryce Harper, you want to look at some of these? Bryce Harper has half the WAR, by the way, of Mike Trout. Half. Bryce Harper has to double his career right now, and he can't compare and they haven't been in the league much different. I'm sorry, that's crazy to think about that. 2012 was Bryce Harper's first year, and 2011 was Mike Trout's, but it's really 2012. He's doubled him in WAR. I just saw that, so that's almost doubled him.
Which is amazing. Which is amazing if you think about it, because there's a very good chance that Bryce Harper is going to end up being a Hall of Famer. So there's a guy who's going to be a Hall of Famer, and his competitor doubled his WAR.
Almost doubled. Again, almost doubled. 86 to 49, which is just absolutely insane. But Bryce Harper, as we're sitting here, I mean, the dude's already got over 20 home runs, over almost approaching 30 home runs, 270 average, 270-ish. You bring up a great point. Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman, to me, is kind of like the face of first baseman right now. He's been so good for so long, I think it becomes boring a little bit. I'm going to throw some other names out there, okay? Matt Olson.
Good, not as good
as Harper. I would actually agree with you. I think Harper overall has more skills and has been more consistent, and we're seeing that at Matt Olson this year, where Bryce Harper's playing better baseball than him. But again, I think Matt Olson has the same upside as Harper, except for he's just not as consistent, right? We are talking about Freddie Freeman, and then we're going to go to another guy out in New York, Pete Alonso.
Nope, not even close.
Don't forget, Harper. The dude's going to hit 40 this year.
I understand that, but here's the crazy thing. Pete Alonso has been playing first base for a lot longer, and Bryce Harper is a much better defensive first baseman.
Would you take Bryce Harper offensively?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to hurt you more. Pete is home run or nothing. Bryce Harper can hit a double. Bryce Harper can steal a base if he wants to. For me, there is no question I'm going to take Bryce Harper over Pete Alonso every day, and I'm a Met fan.
So you're going to take Harper over your boy, over your Met. I don't like that. I don't like the feeling inside. But again, I get it. I think Alonso has a lot more holes than Harper, and I think Harper brings more energy, brings more excitement to the team. But I'll say this: Alonso's a Met. I love him. I love him as a Met. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Oh God, not even close. I would take Harper. Guerrero has had one good year,
2 good years. Right now, this year is arguably better than Harper's as it is.
Okay, but the year's not over. So in his track record, he's only had one good year.
Give me that. In a lot of down years, a lot of years where you're sitting there going, when's it going to happen? But again, Harper had some of those too, without a doubt. After his rookie year, he had a couple of years where it was definitely down. And then he's come back and become a lot more solid player, more consistent. Paul Goldschmidt,
as much as I love him, is at the end of his career. I don't think he's ever going to be a great player again. I think he's a very good player. I don't think there was ever a time where Goldschmidt was going to reach the heights at his peak that Bryce Harper can reach at his peak.
I think I'd argue very strongly against that. I think there are times where he's had better numbers overall, where he was incredibly one of the most impactful baseball players in the game. Just like Harper, I think Harper had a lot more prestige around him and a lot more noticeability because he wasn't an Arizona Diamondback. But if you look back at the numbers, I think it'd be very hard to disagree with some of the things that Goldschmidt has done, and you can't argue with it with some of the numbers. At the same time, I think Harper just gets a little bit more noticeability because the impact in the position and what he is. But Goldschmidt has been a centerpiece of a lot of lineups that are some of the best. He's had some of the best years in baseball during his seasons. At the same time, I think right now, without a doubt, it's still Harper. But I think there were times where Goldschmidt was the cream of the crop. Guy I love, Christian Walker.
Who?
Oh, save it.
Christian Walker, good, but he's not Bryce Harper. But again, no. I'm a huge Bryce Harper fanboy. Let's call it what it is. I'm not going to deny that. And even as a Met fan, I love Bryce Harper because of what he does for the game, the exuberance, the way he wants to promote the game, especially early in his career where he came in. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to show off and I'm going to make this game great again. So I can't think of anybody that you're going to say in all of baseball other than Freeman that can compare to him at first base.
I'll give you that. There's some other decent players, some interesting names that, guy like Nathaniel Lowe, some interesting guys. There was a time where Jose Abreu was right up there with being incredibly talented. I mean, MVP guy. But has incredibly fallen off faster than I've seen, I think, anybody in my entire life fall off, especially in a opportunity like he had in Houston. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, I'll give you that. I will arguably one of the best first basemen, if not the best. Freddie Freeman, I've still probably put my money on him as a better first baseman, but Bryce Harper, congratulations, dude. You had stepped your game up and you have shown me something that, brother, I was not prepared for. I wasn't prepared for something like that, and I love watching Bryce Harper play, that energy, the exuberance. Something else I love to watch, the Olympics. I love the Olympics. I love it. I love watching it. The Olympics right now are going on in Paris. It is fun. I enjoy it. But, James, I don't think you like it. I have a feeling from some of our conversations that you are not a fan of the Olympics.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Olympics, and I'm a little surprised that you are, but I guess maybe I shouldn't be because, you're always rooting for the Netherlands and, soccer tournaments, which is just absurd. But to me, the Olympics was based upon there being no opportunity for international competition. Now there's international competition every week. You see the Canadian junior hockey team playing the U.S. junior hockey team, and it's all televised. You can find it somewhere. It's not that novelty that before, these are the best athletes in the world. Okay, but they're really not in most cases. Take the Olympic basketball team. Okay, fantastic. They are the best American players, but they're going up against guys, the Greek national team, for example. They have Giannis, but everybody else, they're not competing to play in the NBA. It's not even close. So are you really seeing the best basketball players in the world facing off against the best basketball players? No, you're not. You see that when you watch the Knicks play the Celtics, not when the United States plays Greece. Heck, I could probably play for the Greek national team.
All right, that's dumb take. That's stupid take. No, you can't play. I mean, you can be water boy. You can be towel boy. I bet Giannis would let you be towel boy. You would like that.
Look, there's one thing that I can do in every sport where I can dominate. And in basketball, just put me to the free throw line. I can hit free throws all day, unlike most of the players in the NBA now. Softball, greatest pitcher ever. So yes, I could play on that Greek national team if I find the right position for me.
So where you're wrong in this conversation, you're right in some of it. The where you're let me put this, where you're right is when you're talking about basketball, when you're talking about hockey, and I don't even actually agree with you on hockey. I think hockey is BS in your conversation. You're talking about baseball, maybe a couple of the bigger sports, soccer, basketball. The Olympics are a secondary sport compared to their actual competition, because they have done such an incredible job, even like prior to the Olympics becoming as what it is today, creating tournaments for that. Basketball itself just doesn't have the international power presence yet. But again, it is becoming a much more international game, and where soon it is not going to be what we know it is. You're going to see Eastern Bloc being a heck of a lot more represented. You're going to see China be more represented. Hopefully they continue development of athletes. But that Europe side is going to become a beast of players, and they're getting better as we see it. It's just there's so many smaller countries. It's so much harder to build bigger talent. Soccer-wise, World Cup, that's it. Euros, even we were watching the Cup here in the United States. I think that was a lot of fun. There's a lot of excitement to see that for all of the Americas. But they also created the World Cup so long ago that it is a international thing beyond international. And the Olympics not having professional athletes for so long has hurt that stuff. Baseball, again, not even in the Olympics yet until in 4 years. And the World Baseball Classic is such a great thing right now. Fine, let it be what it is. But outside of those couple sports, this is it. This is the competition. And even hockey, the hockey Olympics again, is incredible. Absolutely incredible to watch. That is the best competition in hockey there is. The World Juniors, if they play great, they get to go the Olympics, right? They get to go up to the national teams for the Olympics. Those are just the setting stage on who should get drafted. That's the minor leagues. The Olympics is the best stage, the best athletes. And I'm sorry, but when you start watching this, what I see, and this happens every 4 years, every 2 years with the winter, is I start watching stupid sports that don't matter, and you start rooting for them, and you start thinking that you're an expert. You're like, row, like you're sitting there and you're watching the 100-meter race. Like, dude, that's the closest race in history. They had more runners closer than they've ever had it before. The photo finish doesn't even do it justice, because you still can't barely tell who won. Yeah, everyone focuses on the gymnastics and stuff. Simone Biles are cool, whatever. But the swimming, like the sprinting, like the sprint races in swimming, the freestyles, the team stuff. I'm sorry, I'm watching like synchronized swimming. Like I'm watching guys doing diving, and I'm just thinking like, okay, cool, we got this, man. Lock that in. Then you see him mess up. You're, come on, how do you not lock that dive in?
Hold on, time out. I try to get you to do stuff for the show, and you're always so busy, but you have time to watch synchronized swimming? Why the hell am I working so hard and you're watching synchronized swimming?
Because at 9 o'clock at night, NBC is showing the replay of the whole day. And they'll start it, and then they'll switch to another sport and switch to another sport. And I am locked in from the moment that thing is on at whatever time we turn it on at 8 o'clock at night up until 10 o'clock. We are locked in while we're eating dinner, while we're cooking and stuff like that. And you're already asleep at that time. So suck it.
Okay, then you can do some work during that time so that I'm not toiling.
I gotta be a dad. I gotta be at least parent sometime. But dude, I'm loving it. I think you are completely wrong. I think it's more relevant and impactful now than it has been in a long time. I think in 4 years when it comes out to LA, it is going to be a blast. So you are completely wrong. And the Olympics make memorable names, household names of these people, create people you'll never forget for your whole lifetime. And you know what? In baseball, well, the way we have it is the Cooperstown Collection. And on this show, that's what we're talking about right now, the Cooperstown Collection. So Andrew Bogish, take it away.
When it comes to legends on the mound, Nolan Ryan stands alone. Known for his blazing fastball and relentless competitiveness, Ryan's career is a testament to greatness. Nolan Ryan's statistics are staggering. He holds the record for the most strikeouts in MLB history with 5,714, and his 7 no-hitters are a record that may never be broken. Ryan played 27 seasons, an extraordinary length for any athlete. His journey began with the New York Mets, followed by stints with the Angels, Astros, and Rangers. In 1999, Ryan was rightfully inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. His induction a fitting honor for a player whose career was defined by dominance and durability. From his record-breaking strikeouts to his legendary no-hitters, Nolan Ryan's legacy is etched in baseball history, a true icon of the game. Nolan Ryan, forever a legend on the mound.
Thank you, Andrew. And that was Nolan Ryan, our first member of the Cooperstown Collection this week. And this is the card that I was able to purchase. What do you think, Ards? It is a game-used jersey card of Mr. Nolan Ryan.
I'm loving it. I'm loving the card. Obviously, Nolan Ryan is a stud, Hall of Famer amongst Hall of Famers from a pitching standpoint. He's on the Rushmore of pitchers. The jersey card, man, that is cool. Okay, so is that the California Angels jersey? Is that what the
Yes.
jersey is?
Correct.
That is cool, man. Like, I don't have anything like that. And the fact that it was game worn, and back then it wasn't any BS where they're putting a jersey on, next day new jersey, and they're just kind of saturating the market or whatever. That's legit. And to me, you bought this card for $20. Blows my mind.
That's
the
crazy thing. You can get a Hall of Famer's baseball card, and I chose the Angels because that's where he really made his name at first, because he wasn't anything with the Mets, which is why they traded him, and God forbid they keep a player who would be good for a long time. I look at this card and I just see him in that Angels jersey. That's where I see him, and then later on, I have that vision in my head of him putting Robin Ventura in a headlock as a Texas Ranger. But to have a piece of his jersey is just so cool to me.
I think it's neat, man. I think it's cool. And like, to be honest, this is one of the best cards I've seen so far. This is the best card I've seen so far. And it's so neat that it's such a dude. It's such a Hall of Fame, such a guy. We have our tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 players, like Hall of Famers. Like, dude, he's like tier 1. He's a tier 1 if there was ever a tier 1. He was the best, even though he didn't have like those like seasons where he's just leading his team to wins and going to the World Series and doing all that thing. Never had a Cy Young, which is crazy. But I would say this: he was such a fireballer and separated himself in such a way with the strikeouts. And dude, I just think that's such a cool card to know that Nolan Ryan wore that and you own it.
Yeah, and what's even crazier, the son of a bitch, he played for so many teams, but he was still throwing 100 miles an hour when he was in his 40s. Who's doing that now? And he was throwing more innings, and he had 7 no-hitters in his career, which, like we said in the video, no one's probably ever going to do that again. How many complete games does Nolan Ryan have in his career?
CGs, I'm looking at this. CGs, 222.
He's got more complete
Blake Snell said,
games.
shut up. You're not allowed to talk about it anymore because he's got one. He's got 1 CG in his entire career. 2 Cy Youngs, 1 CG, and you're not allowed, and a no-hitter. You're not allowed to talk about him because he went 9 innings.
Yeah, congratulations, Blake. You have 2 Cy Youngs, you have 1 complete game, you have 1 Cy Young, but you're still not even close to Nolan Ryan.
No, and again, Blake Snell's not comparing himself to Nolan Ryan, but the dude talks about a CG and like completing 1 game and acting like he saved the world in like Avengers or something like this. Like, you're not allowed to ever question me again. This dude, like, this was like CG's is like another outing, another outing was a complete game. Just lead the world in everything. He's just a stud. I don't know what else to say. Is he a tier 1 for you?
Oh my God. You mentioned Mount Rushmore of pitchers. If he's not on that Mount Rushmore amongst the top 4 pitchers of all time, he's damn close.
If he's not on it, the problem is because he built it. He made the Mount Rushmore. And you know what? If he's not on the Mount Rushmore, it's only because there might be just like there's too many guys to be able to put on like a 4-man Mount Rushmore. I mean, but again, top 4 pitcher. Yeah.
Well, real quick, if you were going to put the top 4 pitchers of all time, are you putting Randy Johnson ahead of Nolan Ryan?
Ooh. If I had one game to win, Randy Johnson.
Okay, Sandy Koufax or Nolan Ryan?
Nolan.
Okay, Tom Seaver or Nolan Ryan?
Nolan.
Pedro or Nolan Ryan?
Nolan.
Really? I might take Pedro. I think him at his peak was better than Nolan's peak.
I think at the peak, I think every time Nolan stepped on the mound, it was different. I think it was his normal everyday what you're getting, it was better. But Pedro's peak was probably maybe the best in baseball. For like that 3 year run, there might not have been a better pitcher in baseball. But again, the average, the standard, what you're getting outside of that, Nolan. For the other 20 years.
Last guy, Greg Maddux or Nolan Ryan? You look like you're about to take a dump.
Yes, that's a great one. Great question. I would say I'm going to take Maddux. I'm going to take Mad Dog. Then it gets into like Bob Gibson, right? Right. You're talking about like a Walter Johnson, a Cy Young, like Bob Feller.
You know what? I have two more guys because at their peak, Clayton Kershaw?
At their peak, Kershaw.
Yeah.
If I had to peak, Kershaw or Nolan Kershaw. If I had to win a playoff game, I don't know. Neither.
Okay. And last one. This is going to really screw you up. At their peak, Nolan Ryan or Jacob deGrom?
Ooh. The thing about Nolan, dude, he obviously no hitter in the day. The thing about Jacob deGrom, I'm not sure if anybody in the world could hit him at his peak. Him or Pedro at their peak, I'm still probably taking deGrom. Like, dude,
and
I was just.
And by the way, I put Sandy Koufax in that at their peak better than Nolan Ryan.
Ooh, yes, maybe at their peak, Sandy Koufax better than Nolan Ryan. Again, average everyday Nolan Ryan, average everyday Sandy, Nolan Ryan.
All right, let's move on to our second Hall of Famer. Here's Andrew Bogish.
Nellie Fox, a name that resonates with baseball excellence. Known for his impeccable defense and steady bat, Fox was a cornerstone of the game during the 1950s. Fox spent his career as a standout second baseman, compiling 2,663 hits, a .288 career batting average, and 3 Gold Gloves. Fox played most notably for the Chicago White Sox, with brief stints with the Philadelphia Phillies and Houston Colt 45s. His leadership and consistency defined his time in the majors. In 1997, Nellie Fox was enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame, a well-deserved honor for a player whose impact went far beyond statistics. With his remarkable career and lasting influence, Nellie Fox remains a beloved figure in baseball history. Nellie Fox, a true legend of the game, remembered for his skill, spirit, and enduring legacy.
And here it is, another relic card. This one happens to be the Nellie Fox game-used bat card.
Dude, how do you even get a Nellie Fox bat?
His grandchildren have it, and they said, hey, I'll sell it to you for a couple bucks. It's the only thing I can guess.
That's a crazy thing that blows my mind when these, like, there's a bat card. It's a $12 card. 2005 $12 card, which again, if this card was made in like 2022, 2000, like next year's card, whatever, it'd be a $300 card or something like that.
I don't know about that, but I mean,
but again,
it's
like,
so hard to judge the value of these cards.
It's insane. They would make it a 1 out of 1. They would do something stupid with it. I just think it's so cool. I mean, this dude was a 1950s legend. I mean, how many All-Stars was he? Like a 7-time All-Star, like in a row, 9-time All-Star or something like that in a row. White Sox, Philadelphia Athletics. I mean, that's when you're looking at how old this card is. Philadelphia Athletics, White Sox, and a couple years with Houston. It's just insane. MVP, he was MVP a bunch of years. My thing about Nellie Fox is I've heard the name forever. Hall of Famer, he's a great player. I look back and I'm trying to figure out how he was so high in MVP voting so many years. I mean, there's a ton. There's 17, 7, 9, 7, 14, 4, 8, 1, 18, like even a 26 at the very towards the end of his career. So that means like people respected him, people loved him. Like he obviously was a great ball player. I still can't figure out how he had so many high MVP votings, because outside of at bats, plate appearances, games, and 4 years where he led the league in hits, but only one of them was a 200 hit season. I'm trying to figure out where the difference maker was, right? So you're going to lead the league in hits when you lead the league every year in at bats. You're just going to have more chances. You're going to have a higher chance to do that, right? Like you can't be a number 4 hole hitter, have 500 at bats and lead the league in hits. It's just not going to happen. But when you have 721 at bats in a season, like you're going to just rack up hits. It just if you don't, you're not on the lineup because you're up so much. And every year he's like 300 hitter. I mean, ended at 288, but he never led the league in anything else besides like hits. I mean, 1 year he led it in doubles, but 10. He had 10 doubles. Like that's not many. I don't know. That's a weird number to be leading the league in doubles. Like some guys nowadays, I feel like that's a great week. You know, like it's like where am I missing? What am I missing here with Nelly Fox?
Well, what position did he play?
He played. That's a great position. I'm seeing 4. So I'm seeing a first baseman or second baseman. Sorry, second baseman.
Yeah. So for the most part, he played second base.
Yes.
I think he got that extra love because he played that position where nobody ever does anything. You look at the history of baseball and second basemen in the Hall of Fame, there's not very many of them, and none of them really have huge numbers.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting because you're looking at second baseman across Major League Baseball history. There aren't many. I mean, there's one that kind of jumps off the page there.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Mazeroski got in, and he's not a great second baseman either. He didn't have gaudy numbers, but he got in.
I mean, he got in. I mean, again, it was later on with the errors committee or whatever. He got in. He didn't get voted in originally. That's the only thing I'm looking at. So if we're talking about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, I have to, again, I would love to have anybody who watched him, grew up in that era, tell me otherwise. But I'm thinking of tier 3 because outside of a guy who's going to get on base, that's all I'm seeing. He must have played amazing baseball. I mean, must have been a great defender, all that stuff. He won several Gold Gloves, 3 Gold Gloves that I'm seeing. So there had to be more there, and maybe, obviously those White Sox teams were very good teams at the time too, all winning. They're winning baseball games because, I mean, if you got to get dude like him get on base nonstop, that's going to definitely help. But there has to be something else there. I know I'm missing it, but for me, he's a tier 3.
Maybe he was just really nice to the writers.
Yeah. Barry Bonds. Very nice to the writers. Guys loved him.
Yeah.
Albert Bell, right there too. Kurt Schilling. All 4 of those guys in the same boat. But so there's Nelly Fox for me. He's a tier 3. Is it tier 3 for you?
Yeah, it's tier 3 for me.
Tier 3 for me. So who else we got?
Hal Newhouser, a dominant force on the mound whose career remains a shining example of pitching excellence. Known for his blazing fastball and outstanding control, Newhouser left a lasting mark on baseball. Over his career, Newhouser compiled a remarkable 207 wins, 1,667 strikeouts, and a 3.06 ERA. His peak years were truly extraordinary, winning AL MVP twice in 1944 and 45. Newhouser spent the majority of his career with the Detroit Tigers, where he became a key player in 2 World Series championships. He also had brief stints with the Cleveland Indians and Philadelphia Phillies. Inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1992, Newhouser's legacy is defined by his dominance during the 40s and his impact on the game. Hal Newhouser, one of the great pitchers of his era, remembered for his incredible talent and contributions to the sport. A true legend on the mound, Hal Newhouser's place in baseball history is well-earned and well-deserved.
Well, like Andrew said, the last guy this week is a guy that I never heard of until now, Hal Newhouser. And in my hand, I have a 1955 Topps Hal Newhouser when he was on the Cleveland Indians. With a really cool Indians logo, by the way.
Yeah, I'm looking. Actually, that was funny you said that. I was looking at that right now, and I'm trying to figure out the hell is that logo, right? So you obviously it's Chief Wahoo, and you're seeing the Indian, the feather in the back. Is that like a crown in the front?
Yeah, it looks like a crown.
we're going to have to do some research on this because that's really neat. That's a cool card. I love those 1955 tops, 54 tops, all those like 50s tops. I have the coolest cards. You know, like you obviously get the picture of him, you know what he looks like, but then you kind of see him in action too. I love those cards. I don't know. Everything about that series, I think it was really dang cool.
I agree with you, and I love getting the old cards. It's not a rookie card, it's not anything special, but it's a pretty card, and that's what I really like about it. It's just a beautiful looking card, and it's from a guy that I've never heard of until I started this project. When I looked at his stats, I said, damn, I really should have known about this guy.
I'm looking at it, and it's definitely a crown, and even their yearbook, their 1955 yearbook, it's a little different crown, but it says American League Champions on it. And so maybe they added that a little bit because they won the pennant in 54. I would assume that'd be 54 and then 55 they're advertising that they won it. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing a pin here, it looks like, or something. I don't know, program tapestry. I'm seeing the program. Yeah, that must be a crown that they added for that. I might be totally wrong on this.
Said it's a good theory.
Yeah, it's a great theory. It's out there at the Chief. I'm trying to figure this out. Anyways, I think it's cool. I love the card. And getting into Hal Newhouser, any stats, anything that jump off the page to you?
Well, now whenever I look at any picture from the old days, it's just complete games. It's just crazy right? How many complete games the guy had. 29
CGs, 24 CGs. 1 year he had 29 and did not lead the league in CGs. Right? Like, this is insane. He had a 29-9 record, 25-9 record, 26-9 record, 21-12. I mean, some incredible win and losses seasons. He had a couple. I mean, what's interesting is his first 4 years were not all that great. 9-9, 9-11, 8-14, 8-17. By the way, he was an all-star when he was 8-14 and 8-17. And he had ERAs 3.04 and 2.45. So those might have been a little tough years for the Detroit Tigers when he was on Detroit. But then he ends up with a 1.81, a 2.22, a 1.94 ERA. He's throwing 313 innings pitch. I mean, he won the MVP back to back as a pitcher. Dude, thank you, Hal Newhouser, for kicking me in the and waking me up, because I was not aware of your game. I was not aware of this.
And that's what I love about this whole project. We get to learn about Hall of Famers that have gone under the radar. And the fact that a guy like this, I was able to buy his baseball card from 1955 for $5 kills me. Because I sold a card the other day, which was a team card for the Orioles from 2024 Topps, and I got $5 for it because it was a Father's Day colored card.
That's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, I understand that, but still, what's the difference? I would rather have the Hall of Famer than the Orioles team card.
Hal Newhouser, by the way, postseason batting average of 0. 8 at-bats, in case you were wondering, in case you were worried about that.
So he's got the same record as you at the plate. 0.
Yes. Much better, though, than me, like, overall. I'm trying to see postseason pitching here. He only went to the playoffs 2 years. Or 3 years. Went to the World Series in 45. Got the ring. So he has a ring. The last World Series for the Detroit Tigers, I'm assuming, in 1945. Let's just assume that. Oh, no. They won. Did they win later?
I don't remember my name, let alone who won that year.
But Detroit Tigers, 1945, the World Series ring. He did not. He was 2-1 in the World Series with a 6.1 ERA. Not really his best outings in the world, but he had 4 walks, 22 strikeouts. But really, what jumps off to me again, he had 4 years of just utter dominance. 1 year he led the league in losses, but he was 17-17 with a 2.8 ERA. He ended up with a 3.06 on his career. He led in almost every category for a couple years. To me, what this is screaming, if anything, of Tim Lincecum. If there's anything that's just screaming at me, he doesn't have a Cy Young. I don't even know if a Cy Young existed back then, but he has 2 MVPs as number 1, and then he had a number 2. So back to back, and then went number 2 the next year. He had a 207 and 150 record. And so for me, for pitchers in the 40s and 50s, if you had 207 wins, when you're out there and winning 29 games in a season, that screams to me injury. That screams to me that something happened that just shortened your career, because he was a 200, 300 inning pitcher, and then all of a sudden 96, 150, 21, 46, and 2, and those were in his 30-year seasons. His career started off slow and then hit a giant explosion, and then ended pretty quickly too, which is kind of shocking.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say about the guy? He didn't have the longest career. He didn't dominate, throughout his career. But when he was great, he was great.
Yeah, when we're talking about pitchers at their primes, this dude won 2 MVPs back to back, and you're looking at led in FIP, led in WHIP, led in. He also led in hits per 9. I mean, he was the lowest 2 years in a row. 3 times out of his career, he was the lowest. Strikeouts per 9, led. He led with 5.4 strikeouts per 9 one year. That's really low. But again, he led the league in strikeouts for 2 times. He also led the league in walks, led the league in hits, giving up hits a couple times. So a couple interesting things to me. Hal Newhouser, incredibly impressed with your 4-year run there. I don't know if there's many, or as a 5-year run, but there was 4 years out of 5 were just incredible. Hal Newhouser, to me, you are a tier 2, and it's only based on the idea that you weren't able to continue some of those years. If he was able to continue a couple of those years, 3 more times, Jesus, he'd be a 300-game winner, and he'd be right up there in some of the best names in baseball.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tier 2 all the way. All right, so grand total for all 3 of these cards, not including tax and shipping, $36.96.
It's pretty cool, man. The Hal Newhouser card, cool. That's just a card from when he played. But when you're looking at Nellie Fox bat and a game-used bat and a Nolan Ryan game-used jersey, dude, that's so cool.
Wait till you see what I got coming up soon. I have some guys that have a patch and an autograph. I have some guys who are just autographs. I managed to get myself a lot of Hall of Fame autographs, and each one of them, with the exception of one, has been under $20.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love this. I love the Cooperstown Collection. We've had some great cards so far, and I love what you're doing with this.
Yeah, my wallet doesn't, so guys out there, if you have any cards that you want to donate to the collection, I am not above begging. I will beg. Give me some cards, please. My kids need to go to college.
Please.
No, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm loving this. I'm making labels for all the cards. I'm putting them in these snazzy type, holders. So, it's kind of cool to me.
What do the kids think so far?
Well, that's the reason why I started this whole baseball thing, because my kid Francis, he finally starting to know who some of these baseball players are. And the funniest thing, by the way, I don't know if I told you this, we were opening some 2024 cards, and he tells me, I think I'm going to find some cards of Uncle Ken. I'm like, dude, Uncle Ken has retired a while ago, so you're really not going to find a lot of Ken Griffey Jr. cards. And damn it if he hasn't found 6 of them.
I was about to say.
And I sent the cards to Junior, and I'm like, Junior, you got to see, he finds all your cards. And you know what he said to me? Boy's got a nose for greatness.
Right? Oh, Junior. Great's going to be great, man. It's awesome. But this is another great episode of Closers. James, thank you for joining me, and make sure everybody goes out there, watches all the episodes, tells their friends, let them know that you're liking this. If you are liking it, leave a comment, leave a like, or if you're not liking it, tell us what we can do better. Tell us what you want to hear, any cool segments of the show, and we will hit it to you. So for James, I'm the DA. Thanks.